Hello, it's Samantha Nolan-Smith here, and I just ran a video over on my School of Visibility Facebook page. So if you saw me over there, I'm talking about the same thing over here. And the question is, what's stopping women from leading? And there are some interconnected pieces that I think are so important for us all to understand as we consider how we're going to step forward in our businesses or in our communities or in our families or in our companies or in our societies. And the first thing that I noticed that's stopping women from stepping forward comes out of a conversation that I had recently where a woman said, I don't feel comfortable talking about being a leader. I feel like this is a woman who, by the way, has a large community, has a very successful business, who absolutely leads her business and her community, and who is happy to be seen as an authority in her niche, but the word leadership made her feel really uncomfortable. And when we dug a little bit deeper on that, what we discovered is it's because she sees leadership as presumptuous, as something that puts her above everybody else, that other people would think if she said I'm a leader or I see myself as a leader, other people would think, oh, she thinks she's better than everybody else. And this is the first problem with leadership and the leadership models that we have all grown up with and that have been with us in society for many, many, many centuries. And that is the model of the warrior leader who stands at the front, who's head of a hierarchical organization, and who says, I am the only one who knows the way that we should go, and I will tell us where we're going to go, and you will all follow. And the warrior in the warrior system, there is no questioning of the leader. There is only compliance with the leader. And of course, that's not a model that is attractive to a lot of women. A lot of women say, well, I don't want that model. And we'll come back to this being a huge problem, this whole leadership model being a huge problem, because it's not sufficiently accessible to women. So we have the second type of model that we have is the likable guy or the likable bloke if you're Australian, or the guy that you would go and have a beer with on a Friday night, or the guy that you like to play. If you're a man, you like to, traditionally he'd be the one that you'd say, let's go do golf on Friday afternoon or Saturday morning or whatever. And that's how corporate Australia, corporate America, corporate England, or corporate world has operated for a long time. It's operated on this model of the likable guy gets the job, gets the promotion, because everybody likes him, everybody feels comfortable with him, everybody's happy to be connected to him. Hi, Lisa. And the likable guy is embodied by people like Barack Obama and Bill Clinton. Both of them are model likable guys. And the problem with the likable guy being one of the main leadership models in our society, the other one being the warrior leader, is women cannot ever fit in that mold. Never. Both of them are so heavily masculinized that we either have to pretend to be a man, like Joan of Arc style with the warrior leader, where we're like, just pretend I'm a man, or Elizabeth I did the same thing. She was just like, I will just lead my men as if I'm a man. So that's one option that we've got. Margaret Thatcher was quite keen on that leadership model as well. Or if we try and be likable, it just doesn't work. People don't respond well. So the most recent example of that was Elizabeth Warren just the other day, having a beer while she was doing a live streaming video. Elizabeth Warren's one of the potential candidates for the Democratic presidential elections, Democratic nominee for the presidential elections. And when she was sitting down having a beer, she was heavily criticized for it, because they're like, who the F do you think you are? Like, you're not a likable guy, you're a woman. And this is not, you can't just like come in here and cloak and dagger and pretend you're a likable guy, because you're not. And so she got criticized that by many conservatives particularly, but it wasn't just a political ploy. There were many people who did it because women can't cross the barrier of that. And you saw the same thing with Hillary Clinton, where people would say, I don't know what it is about her, I just don't like her. I just don't like her. They said it about Julia Gillard in Australia. She's the Prime Minister of Australia at one point. I just don't like Julia. This has got nothing to do with Elizabeth or Hillary or Julia. This has got to do with a system which says women who step forward to lead are not likable. They're inherently ambitious, and there's something to be suspicious about. You've got to be suspicious about them in some way. They're taking a place that doesn't really belong to them. So this is what women are coming up against when we lead, which leads us to the third point, which is there are very few models of women stepping forward as women to lead, because generally they can't get there. Like, they can't get into those leadership roles when they just be themselves. So we're seeing so one of the examples coming through at the moment is Jacinda Ardern, the New Zealand Prime Minister, who is showing the world what it is to be compassionate and to be inclusive and to be clear and directed about how she's going to keep society safe, and she's leading the community in terms of gun control and lots of other things. But she's also very intuitively guided. She's emotionally, allows herself to be seen to be an emotional being. And so this is a model that's a new model. And this is very encouraging. The thing though that is not spoken about a lot, that gets Jacinda over the line in a way that doesn't get a lot of other women over the line, and this is the problem, is that Jacinda is both white and young and attractive. And white and young and attractive is going to get you over the line in a patriarchal system in a way that if you are not those things, you will not get over the line. So you see this with young women a lot, particularly women in their 20s, who say, I don't know what you're talking about patriarchy and sexism and whatever. Guys have always treated me really nicely. Guys have always actually promoted my careers and helped me in my career. And of course they have, because you're young and you're beautiful, and that is acceptable and palatable to the patriarchal system. You're not a threat. You're sexualized in their eyes, and in order for you to become a threat, then a couple of things are going to have to happen. You're going to have to get old enough and advanced enough in your career to actually start to be competing with them for a role. When you start to do that, you watch them fall off. That's the first thing. But secondly, once you lose your attractiveness to the patriarchal eye, and so you age and you are suddenly a less sexualized being, then you start to become invisible. And so then there's less of that assistance, less of that support, and less of the willingness to put you forward for roles within the organization. So where are we left with? We've got masculinized models of leadership which women cannot access without just pretending to be men, doing the best we can to be men. We've got a system, a way of leading which is kind of coming through, but which is only really coming through for a very small minority of women. And there's still a huge requirement that you be palatable to the patriarchy in order for you to show these other forms of leadership qualities that are coming through. And neither of those are acceptable to me personally. And what I really have come to after thinking about this for a long time is that trying to fix the system from the outside, by tweaking it here and tweaking it there, is never going to fix the system, is never going to make it sufficiently palatable to women, open to women is what I mean. It's never going to be sufficiently open to women. And what we need to do instead is create an entirely new way of being, a new system from the inside out. And what that means is that we have to embody the new form of leadership that we want to see in the world, not as kind of women pretending to be men, or young girls showing little bits of, or young women showing little bits of the new leadership style, but still maintaining and sustaining the patriarchal system on another level, but actually completely rebuilding a new system from within, and then being that in the world in a way that then connects us to one another and enables other people, starts other people going, who are they? What are they doing? What's different about them? And once you build that from the inside out, then you can't be knocked over. Then you can't be, then people can't shift that in you, because you're so deeply grounded. You are a new type of being. So that's what I talk about, and that's what I teach in A Visible Woman, is how to decondition ourselves from this old way of being, this old way of thinking, and not try and manage around the edges of that anymore, but actually eradicate ourselves from that altogether, and then build from the feet up, from the ground up, a completely new way of being in the world. And when we do that, then we become what I call visible women, leading on our own terms, whatever leadership looks like for us. And at that point, leadership looks like something very, very different to the old warrior model and the old likable guy model that I've just spoken about. Yes, 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 yes to all this. Yay! And so are you, my darling. So are you. So that's what it's all about. A Visible Woman is open for enrollment now until Thursday night, Australian Eastern Standard Time. That'll be Thursday morning for Northern Hemisphere. We'll have a timer on that so you'll know exactly when it closes. It's 4-month visibility and leadership program, which does the exact thing I was talking about. Deconditions us, breaks us down, and then builds us back up again in a completely new way. There are 4 modules. You can see them all on the sales page, but if you have questions about them, let me know. But they're essentially breaking down patriarchal conditioning so you relate differently to your body, to money, to your concept of what it even is to be a woman in the world. There's a whole module on leadership and how leadership has looked and caused us to behave in a way that is push, 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 just go for it, hasn't been balanced at all, and has been working against women for a very long time, and is causing a lot of illness and disharmony in the world. And so this calls for a rebalancing of what I call masculine values and feminine values, and finding that integrated leadership model. And then we do some energetic up-leveling of our visibility setting. So we have a setting, it's like our upper limit, glass ceiling, they're all the same concepts, around being seen, being heard, and then being fully expressed. And we up-level all 3 of those as we uncover your foundational visibility story, which is the one that personally guides you. I'm so glad you watched it too. And then we get you into little groups where you're working the whole time with other women around whatever it is you want to work on in the space of visibility or leadership, and we connect you with other women around the world on that. So if you want to join us, it's at avisiblewoman.com. Just one word, avisiblewoman.com. If you want to join us, I would love to have you join us. We desperately need more embodied women leading in a new way, and we're going to have an amazing 4 months together. Okay, I'll see you soon.